excited for this. It's a feature film that's going to be directed by Patty Jenkins, none other than Patty Jenkins, which, as you'll see in just a second, she is uniquely qualified for this particular project. I mean, not only does she have Wonder Woman and now Wonder Woman 1984 under her belt in the genre, she does have some personal leanings towards this particular film that do make this the perfect fit. So during DID, Disney announced the production of this brand new feature film, Rogue Squadron, a movie presumably about the famed Rebel Alliance starfighter squadron founded by Captain Luke Skywalker during the Galactic Civil War. Now, the squadron, of course, does take its name from Rogue One, the now infamous squad of rebels who sacrificed their lives to steal the plans for the first Death Star during the Battle of Scarif. Of course, we saw that team's story sort of play out in the well-received film, which we've already discussed here in 2016, Rogue One. So Rogue Squadron, not only does it feel like it's something new, but I feel like Disney might be tapping into an extension of what I will call a fledgling Rogue brand. So watching DID, checking out the webcast, and then all of a sudden, one of these suits, one of these floating Disney, I graduated from Wharton type guys comes out and plays this trailer, this amazing, not a trailer, but a teaser for Rogue Squadron, in which Jenkins herself comes out on rollerblades to talk about how she loves to go fast and how thrilled she is to be directing Rogue Squadron. She sounded a bit scripted, but I think what we got across there is that Jenkins herself, as the daughter of a fighter pilot who died KIA, killed in action, she knows a little something about aerial combat and service and some of the themes that might come into play in Rogue Squadron. So I'm really excited for this. I think she's the perfect fit. I wish Marvel would have grabbed. Marvel's had two opportunities with Jenkins, which they tanked. Captain Marvel obviously would have been a good fit for the daughter of a fighter pilot whose father passed away, whose parent passed away in the commission of service. But no, Star Wars is going to reap the benefits of that relationship. So I want to dive into the discussion, and I hope that that's enough grounding. Of course, my champions will keep me honest if there's anything else I needed to sort of add about this particular feature film. I'm feeling, and this may be an oversimplification. You guys can handle this in the answers, but Top Gun in space, and I feel the need. I feel the need. I want to see macho guys and gals who are in the cockpit in their X-wings, ready to take on serious aerial combat, right? Let's take what they did in Galactica back in the early 2000s and sort of blow that up onto the big screen. But so excited to talk about this. I want to bring in our first champion to talk about this, and I thought no other champion other than Max can sort of start to field Rogue Squadron first. Talk to me about what do you think of their choice of director? What do you think about the settings? How's this going to unfold? What does the tone look like? Tackle any one of those assorted questions as you see fit, sir.
Well, firstly, obviously her respect for the genre, for the flight aspect of it and the combat aspect of it is immense. You could tell it in the advertisement they did for it there, the little discussion with her. She has immense respect for that is just going to hopefully come through in every scene of the film. I am not necessarily looking forward to the space volleyball game. I was kind of picturing a more of a wing commander type thing. Maybe get Freddie Prinze Jr. on out of there and get somebody who knows what they're doing. We do have Cara Thrace in here, actually. We already had her as Bo-Katan, so it's interesting that we have these series where we have such an easy relation to what goes on in Battlestar, having her on the roster already. As for the actual performance of the show itself, I suspect what they're going to go with, they've already established that it's going to be a news story, so you can't expect it to be anything you've played in a video game. This is a class of new recruits getting into the cockpit and making their names in space. I mean, whatever we see out of this film is going to be completely on her. So I think what we're going to see is a amazing opportunity of these guys pursuing the right of their namesake in the Rogue Squadron, and I think we picked the right person for it, given her obvious respect for it.
Outstanding. High fives? Do you think there are going to be a lot of high fives in this movie?
If they don't hit on the far side, then it doesn't count.
Indeed, indeed. So thank you for that, Max. Obviously, high expectations here. Jenkins appears to be the right fit, but let's talk to a few more champions and get their take on this particular one. Stanton, want to get you front and center talking about Rogue Squadron. For you, I want to talk about where you think this might fit in the Star Wars timeline overall. Do you want to see it contemporary to what's going on in the first trilogy, the prequels? Well, obviously not the prequels, but you know what I mean.
Right. I'd like to see it. I don't want to get my hopes up too much for this, but I'd like to see it almost be a companion series to the original trilogy, where a lot of Star Wars has been, in fact, almost all of Star Wars has been about, the Skywalker saga, these, how powerful these Jedi are. I think there's so much potential for what's going on in the background. It's why I said earlier that Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars film, period, is it feels like that is the meat and potatoes of what is going on with this war. It's Star Wars. That's the war. And I would really love to see what these pilots, these squadrons are doing with other detachments that have nothing to do with who's got a laser sword. So I would really love to see that. I really would. So I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping that it's a long series and it stretches from A New Hope to Return of the Jedi, and we just see a lot of that background war that's going on. And some of it is that I do also want to just see some of those aerial battles. Aerial battles are some of my favorite scenes in Star Wars. I mean, and not just the space ones. I love space battles and hope we'll see that as well, but also the ending of Rogue One, where you got that really cool final battle of ground troops coming in and TIE fighters and X-Wings and all kinds of other things coming in this really gritty, storming the beaches of Normandy type of way. And I hope that whole show is that. I really do. I think it'll be great.
All right. I will follow on with a quick question for you on that, Stanton. We certainly are probably going to get into the headspace of some of the pilots on the Rebellion side. Obviously, they look to Rogue One as their heroes, those guys that sacrificed their lives. Do you think we're going to get to see it from the other side, Imperial pilots, what it's like on their side of the equation?
That's a good question. I honestly hadn't considered that, but that would be a great mirror image. Maybe if we had a couple of main characters, you have a main character that's on the Imperial side, you have a main character that's on the Rebellion side. It would be good. I won't predict that though. I'll say the show is probably almost exclusively about who the rebels are. Very similar to maybe what the Cassian Andor series sort of is, although I don't know if they're going to explore a lot of gray area here. I expect the Cassian Andor series to be about morals and things. I think this one's just going to be about heroic moments and heroic little battles that we haven't heard from or heard about up until this point.
Right on. Listen, we've got a comment coming in from the Grandmaster, coming in hot. Talk to me, man.
Yeah, well, while you were talking, I've been checking in what part of the timeline this movie has been set, and it's been rumored based on the synopsis that it will be set after the time of the rise of Skywalker. So this is probably set after the death of Palpatine.
Wow.
Okay. Interesting. Do you mind? Who's your source on that, Grandmaster?
There was a website that linked it to a game, Star Wars Squadrons, and they speculated on this. That based on the synopsis, it's likely that it's set after the rise of Skywalker. So.
Obviously, a lot of excitement from all the fans in all corners of the Star Wars
I don't know
universe.
how true it is, but that's what I'm gonna say. I hope it's not actually, but I hope it's like in the time of the original trilogy, like Arch said. But chances are it's set after the Skywalker saga.
All right, and Stanton, you wanted to come back.
Yeah, if that's true, or to whatever extent it's true, that is totally fine. I don't need it to be there, and it doesn't really change what I perceive the show to be. I still think it's going to be a we'll say Top Gun, a type of individual missions taking down certain things. I have no idea, of course, what takes place after the Rise of Skywalker, so I couldn't even come close to speculating what the show would be about at that point. But I still would hope it to be, and look forward to doing it being a small military operations that support the larger scale of the war.
Indeed. Fighter pilot support. All right. So, obviously, amongst the panel, a lot of excitement here for Rogue Squadron, a lot of speculation. There are a lot of gaps we need to fill in, timeline, all new characters. But we know that this is going to be about people getting into the cockpit and, dealing with those massive G's. I want to turn to our next champion, who by rights is the Grandmaster. But you already did give us your sort of timeline settings. But now I'm looking for your overall impressions of this particular feature film. Do you think that and this is I think that this is a very relevant question. Do you think they're just sort of taking advantage of the goodwill of the Rogue brand? Because again, Rogue One was fairly well received. So now we're getting Rogue Squadron, right? So do you think that this is going to be a legitimate build on Rogue One, or do you think Disney's kind of maybe trying to pull a fast one on us?
No, I don't think they will try to pull a fast one on us, but yeah, they are definitely building on the Rogue One popularity. Put that word Rogue in, that will at least draw enough attention from the people to do not pay so much attention to the lore. They just want to go see a movie. Hey, it's Star Wars Rogue. Oh, last one was good. We're gonna see this one. I just want to see a lot of space battles between TIE fighters and X-Wings and stuff like that. I want to see a trippy roller coaster ride. And of course, Patty Jenkins is going to add a lot of more depth to the movie. But I hope that action piece will be in there. A lot of fights between tiny fighters crawling all over each other in space. That's what I'm looking forward to. And yeah, Patty Jenkins is a good director, no doubt. I did not care so much for Wonder Woman as much as other people do, but I cannot fault her. It's not her direction. She did a good job on that.
Yeah, I think she's a very competent director, if not an exceptional director. And if I was more a fan of Wonder Woman, I'd probably be standing for her even harder than I am now that she's involved in Rogue Squadron. So I'm glad.
Right.
Hope she comes back for Wonder Woman 3, but glad that she's here with us.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Lord Deathman. She's a good director, and I'm really looking forward to this movie. See what she does with Star Wars and this particular show, this particular setup.
Yeah. Feature film division of Disney throwing their weight around. This one sounds like it's going to be a big one. But let's turn to our next champion. And, Taylor, I've got to pointedly ask you the question. With this particular project, is Disney's mouth writing a check that its body can't cash? A deep cut for those.
No, they are not. Okay. I guess this is the next theatrically released Star Wars movie. And I believe it's coming out in 2023. So there's a good amount of time in between the sequel trilogy and this movie, which is being filled by awesome stuff on Disney Plus. So no, I don't think Disney has anything to worry about here. And the other reason I think that is because I think this is going to be a great movie. I know you guys mentioned the all the inspirations they can draw from. You mentioned Top Gun, which is great. You mentioned Battlestar Galactica. You kind of beat me to that. I was going to point that out and how that would so demonstrate the circular nature of the genre. Because Battlestar Galactica was originally TV's answer to Star Wars, and now Star Wars can actually be inspired by the latest iteration of Battlestar Galactica. They actually said that in the advertising, TV's answers to Star Wars for the 79 Battlestar Galactica show.
Oh, wow. That was in the marketing.
Yes, it literally was. I remember it. I'm that old. But I also want Jenkins to draw inspiration from so many other things. I want her to go way back to all the classic air combat movies, Dawn Patrol, The Blue Max, The Flying Tigers, God Is My Co-Pilot, Flyboys. I mean, there's just such a huge wealth of the subgenre of war movies that is aerial combat. I want to see callbacks to all of those, and I think this is the right project for Jenkins. I don't think Captain Marvel would have been right for her, even though Captain Marvel is a fighter pilot. The movie itself did not really focus on that aspect of her being very much. So I think this, which is going to be fully focused on Squadron of fighter pilots, I want to see their training. I want to see their technology. I want to see the weapons. I want to see how they do it without using force powers to make the missiles go in the tiny little hole in the Death Star. I want to see how they're trained to do it, the easy way or the hard way, I guess. But yeah, very excited about it.
All right. I hear what you're saying, and love the contrarian view on. No, I'm not going to call that a contrarian view. That actually made a lot of sense what you said about Jenkins and Captain Marvel. I just kind of wanted Jenkins in Marvel. We lost her at Thor 2, and then I think we lost her again at Captain Marvel. Like I said, this is an incredibly talented director, and I think if we'd have found a piece of material for her in the MCU, but things worked out the way they did, and now she's got a shot to bring her talents over to Disney, and I'm sure we're all going to be really pleased with the results. Taylor, before I let you go, you listed a lot of classic films about aerial combat, and there is a mindset that goes with the fighter pilot. There's an attitude, there's a swagger, right? There's the making precision calculations in your head, doing these crazy maneuvers. Do you want to see her bring that type of swagger, or is there a kind of another way to articulate these types of individuals who do this?
I wanted to show the full range because, yes, there is a general feel. I mean, you can't be a fighter pilot without having some swagger, all right? But they're not all the same. They're not clone troopers, okay? I want to see different personalities brought to bear and how that manifests in how they do their jobs.
Makes a lot of sense. So a lot of potential for this, and it looks like, I got to say it, another potential slam dunk for Disney on this. So I see one of our champions is anxious to get a follow-on comment in here, and it just so happens, Biz, that it is your turn to talk about Rogue Squadron.
Okay, I'll do my best. Let's see. As you all know, I wasn't that excited for this particular property, because everything that amazing that happens in Star Wars is on land. It's cool seeing planes and that, but then again, I did see for example, obviously there's the aerial action in Rogue One, which is obviously awesome and amazing, and then I did think of something else where I know the prequels aren't exactly beloved among this panel, but at the start of episode 3, The Revenge of the Sith, that was an awesome opening where they were right in the middle of the Clone Wars, and there's all that aerial space action. I'm like, you know what? I might change my mind now. I could get into this, and it'll be interesting because what Welibus was saying before about it's set after the rise of Skywalker, so it'll be interesting how that will play out. I did not see that coming at all. He also mentioned with the game, so there are some, I guess, foundations already, what people can expect with the Squadron game. There's something there. It might be a hit. I mean, it's easily possible.
Yeah. It's obvious that Disney's committed here. They're going to throw their full weight behind this. The announcement wasn't shy about what their plans are, or what their level of ambition is. So always great to get these investor relations presentations that sort of trickle down content for the fans so that we know what's going on behind the scenes. But as of this point, we have heard from all of the champions on all of the most desired, the wanted topics, the most popular topics. Oh, I'm sorry, Biz, did I cut you off?
No. I just want to mention something else before, what you were saying. We might see the perspective of the other side, the Imperial pilots, because we've already seen in that Bill Burr episode where like we got to see more of the other side of the other team, with the mess hall, like the stormtroopers are saluting. We got more of that lived-in feel, and we got to see the other side's perspective. So that was pretty amazing. So yeah, they could easily do it again.
Yeah. Good point there. And that reminds me, one of the things that I love the most about Rogue One, and you guys are going to think I'm really strange and a little crazy, but Rogue One, more than any other Star Wars film, not only is it just this really spectacular war film, but there's this careerist aspect of it. You know, if you know anyone who is adjacent to military life or served in the military, there is a kind of careerism that happens on the officer level that I feel like Director Krennic, that character was sort of being caught in between his superiors, right? Your boss is Darth Vader, your boss is the Grand Moff, and then you also have folks below you that you kind of so he's feeling the pressure on both sides. He's got to be a good commander. He's got to get this pivotal plan off the ground for the Empire while sort of navigating his way through obviously a very wide hierarchy of both military and civilian interests within the Empire to get things done. So I don't know if that kind of careerist aspect of military life will sort of enter into Rogue Squadron. It would be interesting. But right now it's all theory, it's all speculation, and I think there's a lot of excitement for the potential of this particular feature film. Any final comments from the panelists from our out in the arena? Oh, wow. Okay, Max?
Actually, I think Taylor's had his hand up for a bit. If we would care to go to him first, I think he's probably riding on something.
Oh, look at that. The genuine graciousness of the champions. Even though we come to the arena for open combat, we have to recognize courtesy here. So, Taylor, please.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you very much, Max. I just wanted to say that the biggest thing I want to see out of this movie is I want to see Lucasfilm take all the technology at their disposal, all the money that Disney can give them to give us next level aerial combat scenes in this movie. I want this aerial combat to blow our minds. I want it to be like so different. I want it to be akin to the lightsaber battle in A New Hope versus the lightsaber battles we had in Revenge of the Sith. Okay, I want it to be that level of difference of quality and excitement and mind-blowing action.
Wow, that's a big ask. And I think the Star Wars fans need to take their cue from Taylor and start reaching for the sky, because I am on board for that particular vision. Max?
Yeah, absolutely. That vision is spectacular. Something that Battlestar did great, since we were referencing it earlier, is the three-dimensional combat. Actually taking advantage of the fact that you can just flip a ship instantly and maintain your inertial movement because there isn't the gravity weighing down upon you. So that should be a very interesting thing to see backwards flying ships in combat. I think they can do that sort of thing very fun. The thing I was going to write on actually was the rogue designation. With individual operation names, those can be named randomly. You might name them after your favorite car, your favorite type of dog, whatever. But when you're talking about units, there is a lot of military history that goes into unit names. So if they decided to name a squadron after the rogue mission, there is a reason for that, and it's going to tie to the honor of the group and the actual purpose of the formation of the unit.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. So whatever the reasoning is, I hope that they do go and kind of talk a little bit about the heritage of the rogue name and how it's become a tradition because of the sacrifices of people like Cassian and Andor and Jyn Orso. Grandmaster.
Yeah, just coming back, I went to Star Wars fandom while we were talking, and I got a synopsis where they based their speculation on when it's set in the timeline, and it's literally, I will just read it up. It says the next Star Wars feature film will be Rogue Squadron, directed by Patty Jenkins. The story will introduce a new generation of starfighter pilots as they earn their wings and risk their lives in a boundary-pushing high-speed thrill ride and move the saga into the future era of the galaxy. And that last part is, of course, why they base it, where they base it on, that it will be in the future of Star Wars. After the Rise of Skywalker.
All right.
And,
That was one hell of a writer there who put that description together. I'm on board for his particular vision, but also want to see the tricky bits, the technical parts of aerial combat. There's a great episode of Galactica where a squad of Vipers get caught up in Galactica's firing solution against a resurrection ship. I was like, wow, that's scary. Getting picked off by high-powered magnetic cannons from your own mothership. But yeah, great times here at Star Wars, guys. Very spirited discussion on this last topic. Well, all right then, guys. I think, wait. Sequel, Max.
We made our effort to prioritize based on the votes of Sakaar. Obviously, every one of these properties, even the ones we didn't discuss, has the opportunity to be something amazing. I've been plugging Thrawn every time I had a chance with the Ahsoka references. Obviously, that's one that I personally tied to. But I think that all of this has potential. I like that they've got the films moving into the future and the shows moving into the past. They're filling in all these gaps while still expanding the universe. And I think we're in for a wild ride, and this is probably the Phase 1 version of it.
I hope so. I hope so. Well, guys, first off, if you're listening out there in Sakaar land, we want to thank you for tuning in. We totally want your support on this particular show. Again, we took the topics that you voted for on Sakaar and we broke them down here. We hope you love the conversation. Our producer, Stanton, is going to keep me honest with regards to all the socials, all the places that you can get access to this particular recording, be it audio, video, whatever it is you do. So, if you're just on a long drive, if you're in the gym, if you're getting your nails and your hair done, please let us know how we're doing here. You don't like the sound of my voice? Then step up to the plate, guys. This show is open to everybody. If you want to camp, if you think you can moderate, if you can out-moderate LDM, we are ready for you here at the Contest of Champions. So, and don't forget to head back to the board. The discussion is happening. The conversation continues on sakaar.freeforums.net. So check it out, guys. Happy holidays to everybody listening, and thank you for tuning in.